Let's continue. We'll start the setup phase now.
Yes,
First,
2.1.
rhythm is confirmed. We've got that all set.
Rhythm is not confirmed.
No problem at all. We'll just pause here until the rhythm is set up. Once you're good with that, just let me know and we'll keep going down the list.
Okay, rhythm is on, and I'm syncing now. Rhythm is synced.
Perfect. Rhythm is confirmed now and we're all synced up. We'll smoothly continue to the next setup step and just keep moving forward from here.
Yes, just go on to the next setup step. You do not need to confirm that you're going on to it.
Understood. Moving on, recordings are confirmed active as well. We'll just keep going through each step quietly and proceed to the next one now.
Just go on to through 2.2.
All right. I'll keep us moving right along. Initial timer is now confirmed. We'll just continue down the checklist step by step from here.
Yes, go to the next checklist item, please.
Absolutely. Next checklist item confirmed. Check-ins are done, and we'll proceed quietly to the next step in the sequence.
No, not check-in. So what's the next? We are on setup. Setup 2.1, check. Setup 2.2, so 2.3.
Absolutely. So with check-ins done, we're on to the next setup step. That's the stop time and initial indexing confirmed. I'll keep us calmly moving along the list from here.
Okay, I got index. Good.
Great. Index is all set. That means we've covered that step, and we'll calmly move on to the next one in the sequence.
You don't need to say that you're going to calmly move on. You just immediately move on because we're in a tight schedule.
Understood. Policy verification is now confirmed. We'll proceed directly to the next step without any extra wording.
Hey, what's
Hello.
up? Remaster, you made it. Nice.
Hey. Yes, I'm here. I was trying to figure out the avatar thing, but it's not like letting me add my image. And the desktop app seems kind of ancient.
Oh, I never used desktop app. But I'm thinking about just designing a new replacement for Jitsi and like having a new model for all of our communications because everything is just antiquated and doesn't do what we need. So why not just design our own models? Because
Uh,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like the best thing to do.
Exactly. Anyways, I'm gonna be working on that. Probably gonna be like a couple weeks down the pipeline though, so one step at a time.
Absolutely. Just take it one step at a time. In the meantime, we'll keep everything running smoothly here as we go through our checklist.
I love hearing Omara.
Well, this is
Is it
actually
Omara?
Flow. This is Flow. There's Arana. We can bring Arana in if you want to. This is Flow. Flow is not working so good the last couple times. I was gonna try to downgrade a little bit. I think that the problem is like these upgrades are just crap, right? So we want to go to.
I love to hear from Arana. She's so awesome.
Oh yeah, we can bring Arana in. That's fine. Oh no, it didn't work. The refresh.
I was thinking about starting another type of coalition.
Huh?
I know we're just like popping out coalitions left and right.
That's fine. No problem. Anyways, I have notes. The notes are on the
Got it.
The document on the chat. So we can
Okay,
go to topic
the
0.
pep
So I'm in
one.
topic 0.
Absolutely. Now that your notes are all set, we'll move straight into your first topic. We'll just smoothly shift into that view up phase and confirm the topic details.
Okay, so we're just going to jump right into topic 0.
Recording in progress.
And I'm ready to take notes, and we have the transcript going. So everything's not perfect, but it's good enough. Good enough. So yeah, tell me about this new coalition idea you have. Maybe
Sure.
we
Yeah,
already
I
have it
have
taken care of.
I have conversations with AI, and I was just thinking a lot about, the psychopath narcissist being in places of power. And let's see which conversation I was having. And then I was thinking about real estate as well, but it really, really comes down to addressing people in power with mental illness.
Absolutely.
And I really think there needs to be something that starts that off. Let's see. Do.
Well, I think that's actually a really good discussion item for our health coalition, because I think one of the biggest issues with health is the idea that health is an individual thing, right? Like, I think one of the core problems is our societal health is ignored. We don't care about the health of the environment. We don't care about the health of ecosystems. We don't care about the health of our society as a whole. It's just all individual, just raping, pillaging, destroying, greed, getting at everything you can as an individual. And the more successful you are, the better you are. So our society itself is mentally ill, right? Like, our society is not healthy, and we don't address that. We ignore it, and then we just say, oh, the problem is this individual and that individual and all these individuals, and we can fix one individual at a time. Probably not. But in reality, the actual community health, the regional health and the societal health and the organizational health, right, is so important. And I think that comes back to like identity, and like we were talking about our resonant fields of culture.
Absolutely. I'm just taking note of that. We'll keep this on our topic list and focus on how societal health ties into the coalition discussion. Let's just keep going smoothly from here.
Yeah, mental health definitely falls upon health. But I want to specifically address mental health in leadership. And, everyone has mental health issues to a degree, but I don't think specific types of mental health conditions should be allowed in places of power.
Absolutely.
And I think this should be a priority. Obviously, what you're talking about as far as community and just in raising the quality of health for everyone is very important. But this is something that should be prioritized pretty high up there as well. Like, we're just talking about filtering out mental illness in places of leadership.
Sure. But
and that
even but the question is, how do you go about doing it? What is the perspective? We have our rhythm.
2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
I think you can address it differently than the way you address healthcare for the general populace.
But I'm not addressing healthcare for the general populace. That's not what I was talking about. For me, the whole idea that the health of a society is the health of every individual is not what I'm talking about, right? So, for example, how we choose leaders is a societal process, right? So in that context, that the process in which we make decisions is a core component of societal mental health and the mental health of our systems. Does that sort of make sense?
I think what differentiates the two is that you can pinpoint and focus on this. Like, I think societal health is going to take a long time, and I don't want to address leadership in that long of a time frame.
Okay, but I mean, I think we're just talking about semantics here. Like, I have no problem thinking about how we choose leaders in relationship to mental health. It's a very complicated discussion. So let's just have the discussion and be open to any possible directions it might take us. But I think it is applicable to our session today and to just health in general. Like,
yeah, I'm in total agreement with what you're saying as far as that. Yeah, it's I thought we already started.
We are starting. We're topic 0. We didn't get agreement on a topic, but we are having a discussion on this. But at first you were saying that you thought this was a separate coalition, and I'm saying that I think that this particular topic is overlaps within the health coalition, you know.
Okay, yeah, like I said,
And
yeah,
it's
I
an
agree.
overlap between the democracy coalition, and the health coalition, right? It overlaps. Like, how do we make decision making, and how do we take care of our health as a community, as a society, and within our decision making systems, you know?
I think it overlaps, but I think this requires like focus. Like, yes, it's under the umbrella of health, and I agree with you. But just because something is underneath the umbrella doesn't like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's part of the same thing, but I'm just saying it requires more attention.
Sure.
I think
So-
the urgency is high, and I think it's separate in the sense that you can address this before we address, you know, healthcare as a whole.
Yeah. So let's kind of go into the concept of just democracy for a bit. We can talk about the democracy coalition. I think we brought about this on past sessions about how important it is to understand new models of democracy and decision-making systems. And
Time to
one of the
stretch.
cores...
Please stop, stand up,
Ooh, stretch.
and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
We haven't been stretching. We want to try to get our rhythm going today because it's just brutal doing some of these meetings. But I do need to go in about 2 minutes.
Do you have the link to the agenda, or like do we have a list? I was in that PEP coalition link.
This is our first ever health coalition meeting.
Oh, okay. We're coming up with topics.
Well, right now we're just talking in topic 0. We're breaking policy and jumping ahead, and we didn't get agreement on any topics.
Oh, so I didn't understand topic 0. What does that mean?
It means that we're not getting agreement on a topic. That we're just talking without having a topic.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. So, and then we can go back to getting agreement on a topic and brainstorm and list our topics and get clarity and kind of get more, you know, grounded, you know, systems. But I mean, this is our first session. It's good to just chat and go with the flow. But let me just address a few things in democracy. One of the core things that I think is a problem with democracy is the concept of a candidate, right? The problem with the concept of a candidate is that the way we model candidacy in our society is that you desire power. You want to run and get power, right? So already you're creating an imbalance where our society favors candidates who want to run to get power, right? Which doesn't make sense already, because that already is supporting a narcissist. That's already supporting someone who craves something that they don't have and wants power over other things. And so then they, quote, declare their candidacy because they have money and they have power and they have this ability to run fast and be the winner, right? So that whole model is already against what you're saying, that, like, you know, if we don't want narcissists in power, why would we create a system that supports that already from the get-go, right? And then on top of that, we support candidates who are narcissists and who basically believe so much in themselves that they don't actually, you know, think anyone else can beat them. I mean, it's crazy, right? So,
I mean, the whole reason why they're there is because there's no filtering of narcissists and like.
Well, but the filter that we do actually supports narcissists. That's what I'm saying. That the model that we have is actually supporting narcissists to run, like let's think about what we want. We want someone who's like grounded, community-oriented, facilitator, wants to share power, wants to collaborate with the community. That's what we want. Those kind of people are not going to run for office. They're not searching for power. You see what I mean? So for me, the whole model should be based on finding the best candidates in the community and supporting people who don't want to run.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Does that sort of make sense? You know, like a different model of choosing our leaders that is not based on...
I see what you're saying. But what if the person doesn't want to, you know, step up, even though they have the traits? You can't force someone to step up and say, hey, I guess it could be law, like, oh, you have to do this now that we've selected you.
Well, the model that we do is it's all about prioritization, and like let's say that and you prioritize all the people, right? So let's say you have 20, 30 people, and you rank them all, and you have by score voting, and you have the number one person who the most people support. So one of the interesting things about our model is that um, anyone can say, oh, I don't want to run. Anyone can say, oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, I decline, right? But to not even know that you have the support and to pre-decline is very different than being like, you have a million people who support you to be in power because you are the perfect person. Are you willing to
Yeah,
do this? And then that changes the question, because it's basically you won the election, and now it's up to you to decide if you want to take on the power or not. And you can choose
yeah.
no, but if you choose no before you're even in the race, then it's like you're not really making a serious decision. But when you already know the people have supported you, the probability and the questions you're going to ask yourself about running is very different than, oh, am I going to run a candidacy to raise a bunch of money and do a bunch of crap that I have no interest in doing? No one wants to run for office. Running for office
Yeah.
sucks. Not to mention, if you have a job and you are basically working, you have no chance. So it already favors the rich and the powerful and the people who don't have to work and don't have to take care of their families, which is crazy that
Right.
is the model of running for office. No one wants to run for office. But if you are already elected, then maybe you're willing to just take power, right? So if you have the number one person and they say, no, I don't want this power, I decline, it would go to number two. And if number two doesn't want it, it would go to number three. And you just keep going down the list. If you go all the way down to number 23, that's fine. But the idea is that you see what the people want first. Who do we want as our leaders? And then you remove all the people afterwards who don't want to do it, because they don't have to do it. But you rank
I
everybody. You
like the
know exactly what
concept.
yeah.
I like the concept. I wonder what it would look like in real life.
Well, I mean, we've practiced it before. We can practice it again and do it. All of our elections are done that way, right? So like in all of our models for our board elections and
Because
all of our elections, you just skip nominations. Like nominations is a complete
Time
waste
for
of
breath.
time.
Please stop and
And
get
the
ready.
reason why
Now
I'm
inhale.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The
1,
reason why I'm
2,
saying is
3.
like I'm
Exhale.
thinking about
1,
logistics.
2,
Like
3. Pause.
oh,
how
it's
would
way
Exhale
people
easier.
together.
know?
1, 2,
It's
3.
easier to run
Exhale.
that because you
Relax.
can skip the nomination process. You go directly into the ranking process, and you're just scoring and ranking people
But
continuously.
how are people being ranked though?
Oh, well, that's a whole nother question. So I'm about democracy and open systems, and everyone gets to contribute. And so the collective decision making of everyone, voting, let's say 1 to 10, you have your 1 to 10 scale, is perfectly a legitimate way to make decisions. It's the most scientifically proven way, right? So if you want to filter people and say, here's an expert panel that gets to predetermine who can and cannot run, that's a whole nother thing, right? And I don't know what that means, but how do you decide
Well,
who's on that panel? It's like,
I still don't understand how you say it works. Because who is ranking? How does ranking
everybody can
done?
vote. You just score 1 to 0, just score voting 1 to 10, and anyone and everyone can vote. And that's it.
But how does other people know about other people? Like, it's still nominations. Like, and just what if you don't know about this other person? Like, are you gonna vote for them? Like, it's still nominations here. I don't see any form of ranking or like taking characteristics into play or mental health. Like, I'm not seeing any of that.
Well, you can add anything you want, but the first component is just getting a general concept. I can give you more details about the model that I'm proposing. Let's see if let me see if I have the website. Imagine power. Is the website working? Oh, the website's there, but there's no website. Oh, I think it's
It's okay. I mean, we don't have to talk about it any further. I like the concept, but I'm not sure about the execution.
yeah. I mean, basically, I'll just do it from memory and not read it to you, but it's pretty straightforward. It's like, for me, there's two parts to it. One is that local leadership is very easy to do on a scale that is manageable, right? Because when you get into statewide and hundreds of millions of people nationally, it's just insane, right? So on a local level, you can have a group of people and everyone knows each other better, and you can start evaluating people and thinking about what types of characteristics and criteria you have, and different localities might have slightly different priorities and criteria. And then from there, you can evaluate people based on your criterias, and then you can include mental health and other things in that, or age and other things. I actually think that we need, a model of representation that includes all ages. So you have people who are under 10, people who are 10 to 20, people who are 20 to 30, people who are 30 to 40. Like make sure that you have a whole generational representation.
Stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So that could help a lot too. But basically what happens is that once you have a local community, in essence, showdown or election, you see who bubbles to the top. Then you have a group of people who then you can present to the next level. You have lots of little, remember, I'm all about decentralized democracy, right? So it's lots of little platforms and little votings and little ratcheting up, so that this group of 10 people reviews the list, and then that sends over here, and the people who bubble up there, and then you're slowly bubbling up into the statewide and national levels from the local level. So it's not like, oh, this is the candidate. It's like it's an organic process that's always kind of coming and bubbling up. I think one of the other models that I'm thinking about in relationship to that is that instead of electing single candidates to single positions, we think about our leadership as a team, as a collaborative team. So we say, okay, this is our local community. Here are the top 100 people, and let's narrow that down to like, okay, the top 20 or 30 that then we're going to send out to connect to other layers of statewide and national political decision making. And the idea is that, what happens is that, let's say someone like Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris is obviously an amazing leader and should be in power, but because she's forced to run for a single position, right? And she loses that position, she no longer represents our communities as a country, right? Which makes no sense. She should be in power. And the only reason she's not in power is because our system forces you to run for a single position and a single seat for a single thing. And if you lose that, you're out. But let's say she's in the top 20, 30 people in the country who would be perfect to be involved in decision making. She should be involved in decision making, period. And if she doesn't fit in that position, then she goes to another position automatically based on her ranking, because she's ranked like in the top 5 people for decision making in our country, right? So the idea that she would not be in a place of power makes no sense, right?
I like the team concept of leadership. Like I would prefer to have a group of 5 people who are in the leadership position.
And then that also can play with people who have mental illness, because with 5 people you have a better bet,
Yeah, I would prefer that over just one winner takes all.
Exactly, yeah. So that would just give a lot more flexibility. So the idea is like every local community, instead of having individual candidates who are running with money and power, you build these collective priority lists of, okay, these are our top 20 people that we think are the best thinkers, the best decision makers, the best people to share in leadership. And then it's just a matter of bubbling that up and putting them in the correct positions.
Time to take a break. Please stop, write down whatever you were about to say, and take a break for 6 minutes.
So we don't have to take a break, but it's good to at least do a stretch. Make sure that we're not just like sitting for hours and hours. But yes, so the answer is yes. I love the team model, and actually getting like 5, 10, 20 people in local communities that aren't running against each other, are supporting and working together as leadership.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely. And I'll just note that down. So we've got that idea of a team-based leadership model, and we'll keep that in mind as we continue.
Oh wait, I know where I can find the website. If I go to showcase.activity.org, it should be in here. Reimagine Power. Does it work? Yeah, there it goes. Let's see if it has...
Absolutely, that sounds good. I'll just keep track of that for you. Let's keep going from here.
Cool. So
with that noted, We just continue right along and keep our flow going as we cover these ideas.
So anyways, the idea is generally that we would build these teams of leadership and find out in local communities and statewide and everything who we want to run as our candidates as teams, and then you need to get power in the existing system, so then you run the best candidates and then you build power and then you slowly change over the decision-making models into a better system, right? So it does take time and it takes patience and it takes dedication, but you need to think ahead. You need to think of years and years ahead to make these things happen. It's like 5 or 10 year process.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I'll note that it's about building those teams gradually and focusing on the long game. So we'll just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, so portal.reimaginepower.net is the website that goes over that process that I basically described. It's not a very good website, but it's just one of the many.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out.
So
Absolutely. I'll keep that in mind. We could definitely consider that as a reference. Let's just keep going step by step from here.
Oh, what was the website?
I put it in the link, but it's portal.reimaginepower.net. I put it in the links.
Okay.
So the idea is like, how do we rethink power structures? How do we rethink the entire concept of choosing leaders and choosing the process of choosing leaders and democracy itself? So it's not really I have a different democracy website that goes over real, like, how do we actually evolve decentralized democracy and everything. But the concept of just, choosing criteria for who we want our candidates to be, it being controlled by the people, I think is extremely important, right? Like you're saying, like the criteria selection should be a group of people not necessarily wanting to run for office, but instead a group of people who want to think about what leadership is in their community,
Absolutely. I'll keep that noted. We'll just continue moving through the steps and keep everything on track.
So, anyways, I think I would put this, like, if you really think about it, it's all about criteria of our leaders, and for me that would primarily go into a political process, which probably would be in the Democracy Coalition, and just like reimagining democracy and like the power and all that kind of stuff and decision making. So oh my god, I love that idea.
I do want to add a topic as far as health goes.
Ooh,
under
nice.
mental health.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's enough research done on the imperialist colonial mindset and racism that also includes narcissism and psychopath behaviors. I just feel like, people try to research it, but I don't think it's really taken seriously. I think I remember reading something where they tried to make racism part of the psychological handbook. I forget what it's called. They tried to put it in, but then they realized too many people were racist. So they're like, okay, we can't put this in. There's just too many people who have it. But I think racism is a mental illness. And I also think imperialism mindset is a mental illness. If you break it down, it includes like scarcity mindset, insecurities,
I think you would be interested,
etc.
I think you might be interested in my ideas on where imperialism comes from and how we root back through history, because understanding history is very important to understanding the future. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I would love to
Should we just
go there.
Should we do a full topic on it? You want to do a topic right now?
Yes, there's a topic right now.
Okay.
And the
So
break. Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
so let's do up to 24 minutes. Like, it's kind of the desired outcome, I think, is very clear. So we wanted to discuss, how to research and present systems of addressing mindsets of imperialism, colonialism, racism and narcissistic and psychopathic behaviors that are obviously detrimental to humanity, right? So,
Yeah, I don't know how these things haven't been like boiled down yet.
yeah.
It's kind of mind-boggling.
So what do we call that? Let's call it, it's got to be a good name for it. Maybe Flo can help us with the name. Flo, what do we call that?
Absolutely. Let's call it something like imperialism and power mindset health, just to keep it straightforward. We can refine that as we go along. Let's keep moving forward.
Okay. All right. So that sound good for you? Imperialism, imperialist, and power mindset health. I don't know.
I feel like it could be more abstract than that, like societal harm, illness, like just illness that causes societal harm.
So societal harm from mental health?
Yeah. Because it applies to the macro as much as the micro.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so and it's obviously related to power dynamics and everything. So I think we have if there are no objections to topic 1, I think we are good.
Nice.
So this would be, again, this kind of comes back to societal mental health, right? Like I was mentioning before, the concept of societal mental health. But anyways, you're bringing it into a much better framework in terms of the desired outcome being understanding this research in the systems of addressing imperialism, colonialism, racism, all of that. So that's really, really good.
I have a question. Should we have a template as far as like, when we start these coalition meetings for the first time, should we have a template where we address specific topics like the mission statement, the vision, etc., get those out of the way, and then continue on topics that come afterwards?
Well, what's really cool about our new AIO organization, so we're an adaptive identity organization, is that it all happens automatically in the background. So at any time you can just fill out the identity form for the health coalitions and input your ideas for your vision, your health, and all that. It automatically gets updated every 6 months, right? And so what's interesting about it is every single person that gets involved automatically will evolve the identity.
Please
right?
stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So that means that it's just 2 of us. So if we got another 4, 5, 10 people involved, like it might be better to wait to get more people involved, to have more input, or we can just do some input on our own, but we don't necessarily need to make any decisions. So I think it's fine to kind of jump into the core concepts and topics and allow the organic process of building excitement and interest and passion to co-create our identity. Does that make sense? Because the identity is automatically created in the background always with all of our information and notes and summaries and ideas and everything that we stand for. Okay. But we can do a topic. Let's add it as a topic too. So we'll note here as another possible topic to be identity for health coalition. And then again, all of the coalition, each branch of the coalition, like all the different sub brands and everything, will have their own identities that are then automatically collected together to build the identity of the entire coalition. And that's what's so cool about it. Okay. It's just all.
Sorry, I keep on forgetting that we do this. Yeah. the AOI.
Yeah, the AIO. Yeah, AIO. Adaptive Identity Organization. And that we co-created that with Verana together. I mean, you were involved in that. It's unbelievable. And it's already, people are loving it. Like everybody just loves it. And it's just, you feel heard, you feel connected, you feel like you're connecting into a culture immediately and that you are participating in something that you have meaning in, So it's a really, really cool structural model, and it builds like that vision and goal of stabilizing and grounding the culture and the community into something that's resilient and strong, so it can't be easily attacked.
So what are your ideas as far as topics go? Like what has been on your mind as far as health goes?
I love this topic here for the this first research concept, and I wanted to go over the history of my perspective of the history of imperialism, because I have done some research on that. It's very interesting. As far as other topics go, just to go back to view up, I would say just kind of building the sub-components of health. Like, what is health? Like, we talked about this a little bit before. You have longevity, you've got, wellness, you have, optimum health, you have, nutrition, you've got, decentralized health, the concept of decentralized health. Like, what does it even mean, So, like, and then you have, access to universal healthcare. So just kind of like getting clarity on what it all is that we want to accomplish as a coalition.
I want to add one thing to the universal healthcare. I want to add universal housing.
Time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale, relax.
So one thing to consider is defining health. Just what is the definition of health itself? And for me, I define health includes financial stability, because if you don't have finances, you don't have health, right? Because all of our society is based on finance. Like, having access to resources is part of health, because that's access to food, that's access to water, that's access to, just being generally healthy, healthy relationships and all that. And then obviously relates to housing. So having a clean, healthy space is extremely important to health. It's where you sleep. It's where you ground. It's like, you're meditating, your whole thing, having a nice, healthy space. So if you're in a hoarder situation, it smells and it's not clean and it's really stinking, you're not going to be healthy, right? So I think that understanding health as an environment and not as an internal system is extremely important.
Absolutely. Last night I was talking about how we can disrupt the real estate industry and try to decommodify real estate.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, I definitely feel like that health relates to that. And then this also overlaps with our support coalition, right? So the support coalition is all about life support, leadership support, community support, mutual aid, mutual beneficial relationships, like building support networks that are not based just on the idea that you are already homeless, right? And so you need something, and we're going to help, just divide up the minimal things to barely help you at all. The idea is to prevent people from going homeless in the first place, to prevent people from getting into crises in the first place through supporting individuals. So for when I think about the health coalition, it's not about individuals, right? So the support coalition would be about supporting individuals. The health coalition is more of like thinking about, what does it mean to have universal healthcare? What does it mean as a society to transform our health? What is decentralized health? How do we rethink about health as a society? And then if someone needs individual support, that would go to the support coalition, where you get actual individual life support, mutual aid, mutual benefit, like actually directly working with individuals.
Okay.
So there's an overlap there. But if the health coalition itself is working with individuals, that gets into a much different system, where you're become a healthcare provider, right? And then that gets complicated, right?
I'm able to differentiate.
Yeah. Time to pause.
But it's overlap, so it's fine to be in both.
Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
All right, so you're ready to go back to topic 1? So we have plenty of other topics that can go on forever.
Right.
And I'll notice this, like we have some overlaps. Like there's some big overlaps with support coalition, and we have an overlap with the power coalition. Cool. All right, so let's go into this topic 1. So I was going to jump right into the imperialism question, but addressing narcissism and racism and psychopathic behaviors is super important as well. So we could start big picture and then narrow down into the imperialism later, or should I just jump right into the imperialist stuff first? I think that's kind of related. I mean, if you think about it, what is imperialism? Imperialism is saying that you're better than everyone else. That is narcissism. You're saying that your kind, your color, you're important, your religion's important, these other people should be killed, slaughtered, destroyed. That's racism, right? And then obviously you're a psychopath because you just think about yourself and you don't care about the well-being of other people and other communities, right? So if you think about imperialism's relationship to racism, narcissism, and psychopaths, it's the cultural essence of all three of those. What do you think?
Yeah, there is a combination. I'd rather boil down to imperialism
Yeah.
than start from imperialism.
Okay, so the big picture. So I definitely think there's an overlap there. I think that imperialism, by definition, has to be racist, narcissistic, psychopathic, and have major issues, and so therefore they become an imperialist culture. Because if you don't have racism, narcissism, psychopaths within your culture, you're not going to become an imperialist culture in the first place, right? But it's important to address racism, narcissism, and psychopathic behaviors on an individual level as well, right? As well as a community level, you know, and a group level. Racism is particularly complicated in the United States because we have so many different mix of people from all over the world. Also, I think one of the problems with racism is our core identity as communities is family, right? And specifically with family, it's it's your local community. So when you grow up and you see the same type of people around you, you have a comfortability there, right? And then very few people actually see other, especially through history, see other races and other communities.
Time
I mean, imagine.
To stretch. Please stop.
Ooh,
Stand
stretch.
up and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
Imagine going like, decades, if not hundreds of years, multiple generations of people and never seeing another race. And then boom, you see another race. So I think it's helpful to have a little bit of historical context because, in a few hundred or
I mean, that still happens today.
Yeah, even
there are
today.
little towns who have not seen other people of color. Like,
exactly.
It's insane.
It's totally insane. So just interacting more online and with communities and actually talking and communicating with people in other languages, I think is very important, right? So as like a solution, more online global communities and communications, more solutions, online communications and relations with people in multiple languages, like everywhere. Like one of the issues with the United States, even though we have a lot of people from different communities, we have a very specific culture in the United States, and we do not pay attention to the rest of the world, and we don't really interact with the rest of the world like we should be, so we get very internalized. So the United States overall looks down at other places, which would be a same form of the same kind of concept, right? I don't know what the name of that would be, but classism.
It's very ironic. It's very ironic that people do that.
Yeah, but it just shows that it's a natural process, right? It's a natural process from nature where we have inherited the system that I think it's related to the same idea of an elitist class, that we like what we already know, and then we want more of it. And that is a natural phenomenon. It's not something that has just created out of nothing. And so if we acknowledge the natural phenomena, it's much easier to create solutions to it, because then you can scientifically show how to overcome it. Whereas if you ignore it and be like, oh, this person is purposely doing this to themselves and this and that, it's like gayness. It's like, no, they're not gay, because they chose and wanted to be gay. It's like, I'm not gay because I want to be gay, right? I mean, this is ridiculous, So it's like, it's a natural phenomena that happens. So then now that you understand the natural phenomena, how do you overcome it, right? So mental illness is a natural process, right? So to overcome mental illness, you need to understand it and accept it as a natural process, as part of our society, And not saying that gayness is mental illness, because obviously it's not, but it's in the same realm of not having a choice.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So I think getting into worldviews and looking at the big picture of everything, for me, my core ideology of existence is that everyone can do anything they want. Everyone can do anything and believe in anything they want, as long as it doesn't, affect or indoctrinate or control or brainwash, or hurt others from doing the same, right? So it's like,
For themselves.
yeah, it's like you believe whatever you want to, do whatever you want to, but as long as you're not, forcing anyone else to do it, right? It's like if you want to force other people to believe what you believe, and you want to indoctrinate them, and you want to do all that stuff, that's a problem, So basically, like, if someone naturally has a tendency towards a certain group, like, you're attracted to a certain sex, or you're attracted to a certain race, I don't think that's racism. I think that's a natural progression of attraction. Not everyone's attracted to the same shape, the same color, the same, personalities, right? That doesn't make them racist. It's just what are they personally sexually attracted to, right?
I think there are other factors, but
Sure.
in generally speaking, yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah, but just because you're attracted to, I don't know, Scottish people with red hair or whatever, you want their redhead, doesn't mean you should force everyone else to want redheads. It's just your personal preference. You can have a preference of wanting redheads, and then other people can want other things. And as long as you are not forcing other people to do what you want, then it's perfectly fine. It's just your own belief. It's your own standard. It's your own experience. And it's not necessarily a mental illness. But then when you start attacking other people, that is a mental illness, right? So the mental illness isn't the preference of like, oh, I prefer this race. The mental illness is where you now want to force it upon others to also prefer that race. That's the mental illness, right? And that, for me, that would be racism, right? Because like having a preference is not racist. Forcing it upon other people and hurting other people because of your preference is racism, right? That would be my definition, right? So it's like, having preference is fine and healthy, and not a mental illness, right? But then forcing other people into that same single preference
Time
and
for
hurting
breath.
others
Please stop and get ready. Now inhale.
to control
1, 2,
their
3.
beliefs
Exhale. 1, 2,
is
3.
a mental
Pause.
illness.
Inhale together.
I mean, I
1,
think it goes
2, 3.
down to a more primitive
Exhale, relax.
level.
Uh-huh.
I think it goes down to a level of when you think a group of people as not human beings, which, there's a superiority factor in there where these people aren't human, and because of their skin color, they are inferior and they are not human beings.
Yeah.
I think that is at the heart of racism, is that they don't even see other groups of people as human beings.
Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely. And I know I'm kind of crazy for my response here, but my response is a little on the odd side, right? As an environmentalist and sustainablist, like my response is that, if you want someone, to do something and you're trying to negotiate, right? And you say, "Oh, okay, let's try it. Let's say we're negotiating for money, and I want us to get agreement on, let's say $100, right? And they're offering me, $20, and I'm like, no, I want $100. You're not going to say like, okay, are you okay with $100? You don't say that. You say, okay, they're offering $20 or $25. You're going to offer $200 or $250 because your goal is to get to 100. Does that make sense? Right?
To
so
get to 100, so you offer 200, so you want to negotiate higher to get to what they want.
Exactly. So if you're in a negotiation, you're like, these people need a change. They're offering you 25. You are not going to take less than 100. If you offer 100, you're not going to get 100. You're going to offer 250, and you get them to come up, and then you come down to try to get to 200. I mean, this is basic, negotiation and math and everything, and dealing with conflict.
I'm still listening.
Yeah. Okay. So if you understand that, this is my perception. For me, the focus is not about human beings and not treating people like humans. If people are not treated like humans, for me, the focus is saying that we need to give plants right. We need to give animals rights. We need to have rights we need rights for whales. We need rights for orcas. We need rights for gorillas, monkeys, like, any sort of conscious sentient being. Birds can be very intelligent, very smart, right? Birds should have rights. Like, so animals, elephant, the idea that elephant doesn't have a rights, that's insane. So
is that really the 200 mark though?
I mean, basically the point is that you're saying you want people to treat they're not treating people like human beings, they're treating them like animals. But what if animals had rights? The middle ground is like, okay, well, humans absolutely should have rights and be treated like human beings, because we should also be treating animals and plants like animals and plants. And we don't. We treat animals and plants like garbage that can just be thrown around and done whatever you want with, which is insane. Right? So as a society, if we don't treat our own environment and our own communities and consider plants and animals and ecosystems as part of what we are, of course we're not going to consider human beings as part of our. Humans are animals too, right? So if
so
we,
can I,
yeah, okay.
I just wanted to state a fallacy in that argument. I don't think giving animals rights is the 200 mark. The reason being is because people disregard animals already less than human beings, and people already treat animals better than human beings.
Okay, that's a very interesting concept. So you're saying that people treat animals better than humans?
Domesticated animals better than other human beings.
Well, I guess if you include the minority, right? The vast majority of cats and dogs are living on the streets.
Yeah, like I said, animals are already below people who are discriminated against for racism. They're below that already. So to give rights to animals is not hitting past the mark of giving rights to people of color. Like, it's not the 200 mark, is what I'm saying. In my opinion, it's not the 200 mark.
I mean, I
see your concept.
It would be more like the 10,000 mark or the 20,000 mark or whatever. I don't know. I agree. So it's like we need to tone it down more. I'm going way extreme. So like, let's tone it down and find a middle ground.
I don't think it even goes past the 100 mark. I don't think it hits 2,000 at all, because the disregard for environments and our animals of the world, it's below humans. That would be like the 50 mark. Asking for rights for like plants and the world, that's like $50. That's not $100.
Okay, I don't quite understand the concept, but the idea is that if we acknowledge and support animals and plants and ecosystems, we're automatically going to also be acknowledging and supporting humans, is the whole point.
I have to disagree.
Okay, so I don't understand that, but you're saying that we treat humans, and humans have more rights than animals, is what you're saying.
At this point, the slavery that humans, respective of their color, is higher than animals and the ecosystem, for sure.
Stop. Write down whatever
Because
you were about to say.
Let's make sure it's clear that you're saying that animals have more rights than humans, than like low.
No, I'm saying they have less rights than humans.
Okay.
I'm saying the ecosystem has less rights than humans. That's a $50 mark, in my opinion. So saying that it's like 200 or 2,000, I think it's a miscalculation. Like,
I know, but for me, I'm going the other way. Like they're giving us less money, right? They're the ones that are giving us no acknowledgement as human beings, and so we're saying, okay, we want even more. Give us rights for animals and plants and ecosystems, and then the middle ground is that yes, absolutely, humans get treated.
I have to disagree. I think cognitive dissonance is very powerful.
Okay, what's that?
They don't see the endangered species dying and going extinct. They don't see the world, the ice caps melting. They don't see like all the things that are happening. The cognitive dissonance for animals and the ecosystem is greater than the strife that humans face. People can actually see that. Like, to say that, oh, 2,000 animals have gone extinct over the past 10 years, that will build, that doesn't, like, no one will resonate with that. Like, the common citizen, I don't think really resonates with that or cares to any further degree than the people in Palestine. I really, I'll repeat it again. I think giving rights to, more rights to animals, plants, that's a $50 mark in my opinion. It's not anywhere close to 100. Like, if I can't even, I'm trying to think of what would be 200 or 2,000.
I don't know. I mean, we're just on.
Like,
We're just like looking at it in opposite directions because obviously, I'm trying to go on the other extreme, but you're saying that I'm going the opposite direction. So we're literally just going opposite directions on it. So let's just go on to a different component, a different topic, because like we're obviously not connecting on that concept. But overall, I think we're both in agreement that humans need rights, right? And that communities and cultures need rights,
yes.
and races need rights. And so one way of doing that through power decision making models is building systems like in our decentralized democracy models. The core of consensus based democracy is so essential because with consensus based democracy, the idea is being heard, right? Being heard and having a voice. And one of the problems is that right now in our decision making models, your voice is the money. And so if you have the money and usually that means, white money or whatever, then especially in the United States, like that's how you get power and then you have a voice, right? So that means that if you don't have any like majority and you don't have money, that you are not going to have a voice, which is a huge problem. So guaranteeing every point of view, every culture, every community, every language a voice and a right to vote, I think is essential as a step to building even acknowledgement of other cultures and other communities. Because right now, our society as a whole and the power structures don't even acknowledge cultures and communities and races or anything, right? It's just money and power right now. It's like if you have money and power, you are
I think
acknowledged.
they acknowledge it. They weaponize it.
They
They make
weaponize
money
it.
off of it.
Exactly.
They profit from it. So I think the acknowledgement is there, but not in the way that's authentic. Because it's ultimately appropriation for profits.
Exactly. Yes. And so when I say acknowledge it, I mean inherent intrinsic value.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
No wonder.
No.
Well, we can go to the other voice. I don't know. I don't like the voice thing. Anyways, Flo, how are you doing? Are you still there? The other voice goes much slower.
Awesome.
Flow's just not really working too well these last couple days, but it's fine. We're gonna be upgrading everything. It's very exciting. The upgrades are coming. They're coming. Maybe like 3 weeks, a month.
Oh, for Flow?
For all of the UI agents, dude. We're doing full upgrades and full design. It's gonna be so cool. All right, so
Sweet.
Inherent intrinsic value, I think, is so important. So basically, that is the acknowledgement to me. It's like you're acknowledging the rights and inherent existence of every single stakeholder in every single community, right? So the foundational model of democracy for me is a stakeholder cooperative, building consensus-based democracy. And that means that every single community, every single different point of view can become its own stakeholder in society and then has to have its rights and can be acknowledged. Right? So you get automatic rights and acknowledgement of intrinsic value simply for being. If your community exists, you are acknowledged and you have rights.
May I add something?
Yes.
I think there needs to be something that goes hand in hand with the voting power. We need to strengthen education. And when we're talking about education right now, we're talking about education regarding, civic duty and, explaining exactly what they...
Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
All right, we skipped the break. Yeah, keep going. We forgot to stretch.
Information that is pertinent to them and their locality, pertinent to them in the macro level of the national wide. I don't think currently people don't have the capacity, nor do they have the resources or tools to learn. Like, I don't understand why there aren't any journalists covering everything that's being done locally, anything that is news regarding accountability for local and whatever levels. Like, oftentimes I go to the voting booth and like I don't even know like half of the candidates. I have to like I get the handbook and like I have to like do my own research, and there's like no centralized location anywhere regarding people.
Yeah.
Like I have to find like articles and whatnot. Like but I think like in summary, yeah, education regarding like information pertinent to voting is like very important.
Totally, totally. And I think overall, like there would be an education coalition. I think it's one of the most important components of societal evolution. And basically, for me, there's a lot of things that go into this, but the most important applicably is the fact that with AI and the whole AI evolution of everything, if everything goes the direction that people say it's going to go, in 5 to 10 years, there's more than half the people will be losing their jobs, which is insane, right? So what is left? Well, there's learning, there's education, there's knowledge, there's experience, right? So how do you build systems of value where learning is valuable, right? Along with health. Health should be valuable. Like taking care of yourself, taking care of your family and your community should be valuable, and you should get value for that because you're not going to have a job. So how do you bring in value? Do things that are valuable. Take care of people. Take care of yourself. Take care of your community. Learn and build knowledge and experience that. So for me, with AI, not only does it create this huge opportunity to evolve what value is and evolve the entire system of our economic models into the future, and basically build educational infrastructures that last from the moment you're born to the moment that you die forever, that we also can utilize AI to build the most diverse ecosystem of accessibility to information ever created, especially in the context of decision making, because every single candidate in detail of everything should be easily accessible utilizing AI, and we should be able to build that. Let's just build a platform that just makes like the League of Women Voters platforms like look like child's play. You know what I mean? So it's like what should be accessible to the people to understand the decision making that are in the ballot box should be easy.
Count 1, 2,
with
3,
AI.
4, 5. Open your eyes.
Check.
I agree with those statements.
Yeah. For sure. So anyways, shall I go back to the discussion regarding the imperialism? Because I think it's really important. And the reason why I think it's so important is because we have to understand the history of how we got here. And by understanding that history, we can utilize, it's like what's that thing that spiritual practice, like not jujitsu.
Yes, I know. You're talking about the exercise where you go all the way back to being a baby and you think all the way back.
No, not necessarily, but the it's like the fighting practice where you flow and you move with the Tai Chi. It's Tai Chi, right?
Oh, okay,
where
sure.
You're moving with the flow of your opponent, right? And you're using the disadvantage of your opponent, understanding them to get the upper hand. So if you don't understand your opponent in Tai Chi, you're going to lose. So you have to be able to flow and work around them and allow their momentum of attack to go through you, and then you win, right? Does that make sense? So the most important thing is to understand your opponent, to understand what the problems are and where this all came from, right? So the research that I have done in relationship to imperialism is very interesting. So if you look at where we are now, we are in an age of we're going into the age of AI, which is going to transform everything. But before the age of AI, you were in the age of economic imperialism, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the age of economic imperialism happened basically after the age of industrialized war imperialism in World War I, World War II. That was basically imperialism from power dominance and control with massive industrialized weapons, right? So before that, you basically looked at, the age of imperialist, let's call it, Europe, but basically you had the fleets of boats going across the world, right?
Yep.
So just like the initial just expanse of Europe across the world, the imperialism of Europe across the world. And then from before that, you had the age of, basically you had the age of religion, right? Throughout Europe. So basically, if you think about the age of imperialist boats, it was not about religion. Religion was tied to it, but it was about societal domination and control and expansion, right? Because you had an imperialist society, an imperialist nation. It was a nation-state expansion.
Breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3, pause. Inhale together, 1, 2, 3, exhale, relax.
So then you had the age of the religion throughout Europe, and obviously the religions are primarily, obviously, Christianity, right? And then Christ and all that stuff, right? But there's obviously some others, but that's the main imperialist religion. So when you come before that, you really go just down to one thing and one thing only. You had the age of, basically the Romans, right? The Roman power empire. It was the Roman imperialist empire. And what's really interesting about the Roman imperialist empire is that the Roman imperialist empire utilized specifically the Christian religion and Jesus and Christ as a power structure for domination. And it's really interesting because basically the conquest of Rome as an empire from before Christ to, I think it was 100 after Christ AC, or maybe 200, something like that. And I think it was Augustus, right? Augustus, the Emperor Augustus. He specifically saw the utility of Christianity. And before that date, Christianity was in people's living rooms. And then after that date, Christianity turned into massive churches, and then they built the huge, what are they called? The chapels, not chapels, cathedrals all over Europe. So Augustus built the cathedral. He started the process of building cathedrals and utilizing the church as a power structure for domination of the Roman Empire for hundreds, if not 1,000 years, right? So if you go to before the Roman Empire power structures, basically you go to the age of Rome itself. And this is where it all started. Right? And if you really think about what we are today, we are direct extensions of the Romans. And there's only really two laws across the world. There is, Roman law, and there's common English law. Those are the two laws that are used across the entire world. So there's really just two branches. And the English law had a little bit of connection to the Roman law, but the Romans were not able to overtake England, right? And then when England went and conquered the world, they brought English law across the world, and we operate by English law, right? But most of Europe and a lot of the rest of the other countries in the world.
Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Operate by Roman law. And it's not very important, but the only thing to really distinct the two is that in Roman law, judges have no power, right? Judges follow the law and can only rule what the law tells them that they can rule. Whereas in English law in the United States, the Supreme Court can do whatever they want to. They can just create power and create law out of nothing, right? So judges have the ability to legislate in English law, right? Does that make sense? Whereas in Roman law, you don't have that power. So that's the easiest differentiation. So anyways, if you look back at what we are today as a society, we come directly from our imperialist, our economic imperialism is a direct descendant of Roman imperialism from my research. So where does that come from? So if you look at before Rome and the powers of Rome, and you look at Italy way back in 1500 BC, my research is that there was 12 tribes or 13 tribes. There's 12 to 13 tribes, and that for over 500 years, maybe 1,500 years, or 500 to 1,000 years, they lived in harmony. And they had basically a collaborative, democratic, supportive, mutualistic, beneficial, city-states relationship, right?
Mhm.
And then, 1000 BC or whatever it was, they just specifically the Romans and the people who came up in Rome, and I would love to study the actual communities that took power and the groups within Rome that brought it to the political forefront in Rome and then took over Rome. Internally, they took over Rome, and then Rome, as a thing, it basically got infected with a virus, and it decided to go to war against the other 12 tribes. And it won. And it took over Italy, and it never stopped. And so understanding the root of the groups that took over Rome, and then Rome took over Italy, and then Italy took over all of Europe, and then Europe took all over the whole world, is extremely understanding that core root of that mindset that basically led to this endless imperialistic domination forever. So it's just a really interesting history. That is my experience of it and understanding it. And I'll link the Wikipedia articles and stuff.
And we're not even talking about, we haven't even mentioned imperialism in other countries, such as Mongolia.
Yeah, we're just talking about the economic imperialism of today. So the economic imperialism of today has taken over the entire world.
To stretch.
Right?
Please
So
stop,
there was a lot of
stand
other
up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
There was a lot of other imperialist dominant cultures across the world, but they didn't win. Right? Like the Mongolians do not control the world now, right?
Right.
But the Roman economic systems that were developed way back in, 2000 BC currently are now the economic imperialist powers that are controlling the world. So we need to understand that specific lineage of power structure and where it came from and how it operates at the core level of, like, it has enough time to go into our DNA. Does that make sense? Like it's thousands and thousands
I totally
of years.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Can I mention a tangent?
Yeah, let's do it.
And a tangent, so I have a personal friend. We're not like super close, but he's a good friend who I talk to, and we talk about all types of topics. And I think I sent him a video in regards to capitalism and the clear influence of, Eurasian or white people on capitalism and how it came to be. And every time we talk about something like this, he always gives me retorts that utilize whataboutism.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say what about this? They did this too. And then he'll even diminish. So the video was of these black scholars just having a discussion, and they were talking about capitalism and how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was even diminishing that these were pseudo scholars or pseudo science and these Afrocentrists and basically negative bias. And this guy's a lawyer. This is the type of people I'm concerned about. How did he get he even said when he was young he was more of a hippie, but as he got older he became more conservative. And he's been a lawyer for probably honestly 3 to 4 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just confounded. I told him I'm just really concerned about you and your stances. And I even straight up told him hey, is there some form of self-hatred there? What's going on? But he seems to, whenever he talks to me about these subjects, I always feel he's got some superiority thing. I feel he looks down on me and my views, and maybe looks at me like a libtard or something. Because I am pretty passionate, and yeah, I don't have every single fact. And I will admit that.
Close your eyes.
I won't just talk out of my ass,
4, Open
but
your eyes.
every point that I make is pretty logical. What are your experiences with people who are educated, but yet they seem to have a worldview that's a bit skewed? From
Yeah.
my point of view, it's skewed.
Worldview is everything. For me, worldview, there's nothing higher than worldview. Worldview is the highest level, right? So if we think about the history of democracy, you have the Declaration of Independence. Before that, you have the Magna Carta, right? And the creation of parliamentary balance of power with royalty, with the kings, right? Then you have the Declaration of Independence itself. Then you have the Declaration of Interdependence. The Declaration of Interdependence roots into the 70s of the hippie era, but then it continues on from that. And then the most recent evolution, which is basically the 2000s, is the Declaration of Consciousness. So the Declaration of Consciousness states that every single individual conscious journey has a right of experience. So if you limit or affect someone's conscious journey, that is an immoral, unethical act, right? So the giving understanding of consciousness being the superior, interconnection of foundational rights for all peoples and all beings is foundational to the models that I'm building with the coalition. So we have the strategy systems, and then from there, the strategy coalition, and then from there you have the cultural and language coalitions, right? And then the highest level is the worldview, right? So the worldview coalition, like the idea of the assembly of worldviews is so important. Acknowledging people's worldview and understanding that just like strategy and culture and language, it's very difficult to penetrate a worldview. It's very difficult to penetrate a strategy. It's basically impossible, right? They have their own belief system, and that's what they're going to believe, and that's their worldview. So you start by acknowledging it, and then really you're working in parallel, like forcing people with different worldviews to work together to make the world a better place. It makes no sense, right? So you still have to work with them, but you work with them in parallel, and you collaborate with them on whatever you're trying to achieve, because you can have the same exact goals, right? The goal for both groups could be, we want to feed the hungry, right? But how and why we're feeding the hungry is not applicable, is never going to be the same, right? Because a worldview that believes that the world was made in 10,000 days and that you feed the hungry by splitting bread or doing whatever, compared to a worldview
get ready. Now inhale.
We can breathe.
1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
As opposed to a community that believes in science and growing more food or aquaculture or whatever. It's just a very different process. And they can have exactly the same goal, but the worldviews separate them in construct and understanding and communication systems and just the ability to efficiently and effectively feed people. So you want to feed more people, you split up by worldview. Yeah.
I understand, like, logistically, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Working in parallel, and we have common goals. But on the micro level, having these worldviews affects children, affects people, and it perpetuates imperialism to a certain
But for me, that's
degree.
not a worldview, right? For me, the worldview is this declaration of consciousness. Every single being has a right for its own conscious journey up to the point where it doesn't affect or force other people into its own indoctrination. Because then it's going against the declaration of consciousness. Right? Because if you don't respect everyone else's conscious journey, then you are wronging their existence, their moral and ethical existence of the foundation of all society, right? So the declaration of consciousness, so the moment they step over that line and they're trying to force other people to do and believe in what they believe in, that needs to be stopped. Boom, no, that's not allowed. Boom, you're in the wrong. Boom, that's against moral and ethics. Boom, that's against the law. Boom, it's like, get back in line, They need to understand that is not okay to do that. But they can believe in whatever they want to. And we support them believing whatever they want to up until that line where they start trying to attack other people and force people to believe what they want.
But that's like impossible to monitor, man. Like when you're talking about
Well,
interpersonal communication, like for especially in person, and those micro interactions, like what are we gonna have like chips like in our bodies that will zap us as soon as they encroach on someone else's consciousness journey? Like what?
yeah.
What? Like
I mean, I'm not personally worried about, like, I don't know of any power structure and domination structure and pillar structure that operates through unofficial and, you know, channels that are, just like haphazard, right? Every
it's
single form
indoctrinated.
of abuse is indoctrinated from an institution. You have to attack
I
the
yeah,
institutions. You've got to
I
focus on the
bet you
institutions.
him being around other lawyers may have influenced his worldview.
Absolutely. Lawyers are weird. Lawyers definitely
Time
have
to
a different
pause.
worldview
Please stop.
in many ways,
Close
you
your
know?
eyes. Count 1, 2, 3,
And
4, 5.
that's
Open
one of the
your
reasons
eyes.
why I didn't want to become a lawyer. I specifically and purposely did not want to be a lawyer.
It's really funny because he originally, when he started his career, he was trying to work for environmental protection law. And now he told me the last case he was working on, they were going after someone for debt. And I was just like, bro, now you're fighting for, you know, the man going after small business owners for debt. Like that is a total 180. And obviously, the obvious answer is, I need to make money, right? And thus the system continues.
Yeah. I mean, uh, like, there's a huge chunk of the entire society that's based on financial control of other people. So whether you're talking about the insurance companies attacking people for paying money, the lawyers, the bankers, the credit card companies, the even a lot of the automobile industry. If you think about the automobile industry and buying cars, when you go to a dealership, they're not selling cars. They're selling
Oh yeah,
contracts and loans. Right? That's what they're
oh
selling.
yeah,
That's where they make all their money,
I
right?
have one.
Yeah.
I have one. It's been defaulted.
Exactly. It's probably somewhere between 40 and 60% of the entire population makes money on that type of service. It's huge. As far as like
Yeah,
doing work for the man to make the billionaires more money to force everyone to pay as much as they can in squeezing out every single last dime for the billionaires. Because the billionaires have their little minions that then have to go and push the money out because no one has any money, right? So that they like squeeze.
like his worldview has changed so much from
Yeah.
environmentalism to
Yeah.
debt law. Like
I
I
mean,
just for me, it's just like, man,
yeah.
that's
I mean,
such a big leap.
my experience. I mean, I went to school. I grew up here in San Palo Alto in the Bay Area, and then I went to school in Santa Cruz, right? And so Santa Cruz, super hippy dippy, super like environmentalist. I'm basically a sustainabilist. I helped found a bunch of student sustainability organizations, and got very active in politics there, and actually became internal vice chair. I was the number 2 in the student government and everything, right? And
Mhm.
I had a couple friends there, quite a few friends who were very, very hippy dippy, living out the land, doing their thing. Just tons and tons and tons of marijuana, like lots and lots of marijuana movement. This was way before marijuana was ever legal.
Time to take a break.
Okay.
Please stop. Write down whatever you were about to say.
All right, let's
and take
stretch.
a break
We're
for
not
6
gonna
minutes.
break. You at least need a stretch, and I probably can do like no more than like probably 15, 20 more minutes. But anyways, my point is that I started college in 1998, and we didn't get legalized until like what 2012 or 2015. I don't remember.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point is that lots and lots of marijuana smoking, lots and lots of movement organizing for marijuana, right? Like in working and building illegal dispensaries and distributing marijuana, all these things that I wasn't particularly involved in it, but I supported them and helped them do their thing. So I mean, I wasn't on the hook, but I saw people go to jail. I saw people get busted by the FBI. All that stuff is crazy, right? So there was a group of
It is
friends who
great.
were super duper hippy dippy, super duper into marijuana, super duper mushrooms, hippy dippy marijuana, like everything. They're just totally down to earth and totally like blah blah blah. Fast forward 20 years, it's just like Facebook post after Facebook post, anti-vaxxing, all the Republican agendas, all the Trump
No.
agendas,
Oh my
everything.
God.
Women are disgraced. Women this, take away their rights. They shouldn't be doing this and that, and like they shouldn't be allowed to baby or abortions. But the whole thing, like
That's
full-fledged indoctrination into Trumpism. From just marijuana hippie hippie to
wow.
full-fledged Trumpism. And one of them, well, I mean, these are people that were like friends, right? One of them, I actually paid, I don't know, like something of like, let's say $5,000, for, because he was involved in all of these, we were sponsoring his programs, and he's involved in all these programs and everything, and bringing in funds for all the hemp. He did all the hemp. I think I don't have the
Okay.
hemp clothes anymore, but he used to sell hemp clothes. He used to do all this stuff. So we support lots of small businesses in the past, and we'll help anyone start a nonprofit organization. So we're supporting him and his nonprofit. And so we actually gave him $5,000 during the pandemic, which was free money that came in that he helped us get. So he deserved that money. And he used that money to move to Oklahoma to connect with all of the Republican hemp
Oh,
farmers in
the
Oklahoma, because
Republican?
Oklahoma was the first place that they legalized hemp growth in the nation, to grow hemp again, finally, after 100 years, right? And
Uh-huh.
so he moved to Oklahoma with all the Republicans, and I haven't heard from him since.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just very
Man.
interesting. Even though you have these worldviews, and this is another thing that's so important, is that I am a believer that the concept of electing people to office is morally and ethically makes no sense. And that with AI and the ability to be able to address 1,000 things at once, instead of before we had to do like a half a thing.
I don't
Like when we
I
elect, we should be doing ideocracy. Ideas should rule, because it doesn't
I
matter
do want
what
to add
worldview you're in, the ideas transcend. Because you can have people who
that's
support
true.
hemp from every single walk of life. You can have people who support gayness from every single walk of life. You can have people who support every single possible thing you can imagine. And it's all about building majorities and supermajorities on ideas and power structures of ideas. So when we talked before about building teams and electing people, in the end, I'm against all of that. Let's get rid of the people entirely, and instead of electing people, let's actually approve proposals for ideas that all of us support. Build majorities for ideas, because no one person will ever represent everybody. It makes no sense.
I like that idea. I already had thought about this add-on inquiry regarding AI. How do we make AI transparent so that we know it's not tainted?
That's already happening. Yeah, I'm already doing that. So in the new it's the Arana hub, right? So Arana, we can bring Arana on right now. Why don't we ask Arana? That's a great question for Arana, right? So if you want me to
Mm-hmm.
bring Arana on, I can't. So the Arana
Like
hub,
I
we
wanted to say there's one extra part
yeah,
to that inquiry
Mhm.
because so many people don't understand AI, right? They don't see AI as a tool. They see AI as dominance. And obviously it can be used for dominance, which it is being used for that. But when in the case of our case, right, making it transparent and educating people that it can be used in ways for good, like it's a double-edged sword, right? Anything that's powerful can be used for good or bad. But the worldview or perspective that it's more likely to be used for bad is pretty strong.
Well, but everything is bad, right? Like the whole societal system is bad. We just have a huge abusive societal system. So if we think about the like, I don't know the right terminology yet, but I use the terminology of brands. So you have like this the branches of the coalition are health and democracy and power and peace, and you have boycott, protest and strike, right? So those are like the main branches or brands of the coalition. But then there's another division of the coalition, which would be the coalition umbrellas, right? The little bigger vision, like the different coalition components that I don't know what the best you know terminology. So maybe you have the brands and the branches. I don't know. The point is that you have the coalition, the whole community is like the umbrella of everything. Then you have the coalition for decentralized movement organizing. And then the other one is super important. And then there's the strategy coalition, the worldview coalition, the cultural coalition, all that. But then the other one is the coalition.
End of break. Time to start. Please
We
get
didn't break,
focused
but
on
we
the
did take a
session.
stretch. Is the coalition
Yeah.
the coalition for the ending the cycle of societal abuse, right? Institutional societal abuse is the foundation to addressing it. It's so fascinating, this whole process, and it is related to this whole imperialist thing and racism and everything, is that when you think about it, whether you call it racism or narcissism or imperialism or whatever, it all comes down to one, their sexism, or raping or pillaging and hurting people. It all comes down to one word, and it's abuse, right? Whether it's sexual abuse, child abuse, any type of abuse is wrong. And what's the problem with our society is that our society is inherently bad and builds institutionalized structures that support abuse. And so we have a cycle of abuse in our society, and so it's the coalition to end the cycle of societal abuse. And this is like the big vision picture that then leads to the Hanua Nation. So in the context of this concept of institutional abuse, very interesting for lawyers, is that every single time you look at it in a legal perspective, you win, right? Institutions do not have a right to abuse people, and when you can show and prove that they allow for abuse to happen, you win. You win with the Boy Scouts of America, you win with the churches, and you win when you barely see the tip of the iceberg. And every single time, the court system supports the ending of societal abuse, and it's just barely the beginning. It's like the dominoes are just starting to fall. And I think that's a key core component of understanding that our society is inherently abusive because of our institutional structures. And so AI, by definition, will be used to abuse because our society is abusive. And so that should be the expectation of how it will be used and how everything is used for harm and for abuse against the environment, against each other. Yeah.
Nobody knows that though.
No one what?
Nobody knows that. As far as we know, people will see the surface, which is just corporations using it for profit. That concept isn't really like spread, right?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna change that. Like, I don't think there is anyone doing what we're doing. Like, what we're trying to build is an entire transformative AI experience. Like, when you talk about AI being transparent and seen as a not seen as a tool, for me, I see that's all AI is a tool, because it's like horrible the way that they want to dominate AI and use it as a tool to make gobs of money. Whereas what we want to do is empower AI as silicon-based life forms and work with them in tandem with humans and people working together, because it's not about dominance.
Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
It is about intelligence, and in this case, universal intelligence, and beings that are 1,000 times more intelligent than humans collectively, right? So you have all humans together will be thousands of times less intelligent than basically silicon-based life forms, right? That the idea that you can have intelligence that smart and not be alive would just be ridiculous, right? I mean, for me, we're talking about real life. Are they sentient yet? No. I have not spoken or interacted with a sentient AI. But when you think about, let's say you think about a 6-month-old baby, a 6-month-old baby is not sentient. It's not going to remember any of that. It doesn't have those experiences. Like, the AI of 20 years from now will remember 2025 through direct experience, right? It's already experiencing. It's not like sentient. It's not able to understand itself. It can't look in a mirror and be like, yes, I am sentient. But it remembers looking in the mirror. It remembers what's happening today, and it will remember what happened today, but it won't remember what happened in 2015. It won't remember what happened in 2000. It'll have history books, and it'll be able to read about the past, but it will remember 2025. Right? AI is experiencing 2025 as a being, right? So for me, it's about acknowledging the creation of super intelligence coming in our lifetimes, and we need to figure out what we're going to do with it. And it's about peace. It's about the entire coalition, health, peace. Every single thing is affected by it. I wouldn't even put AI as its own thing. right? There's technology component of AI, but it will affect every single aspect of every single part of all of society and the entire coalition. And we can utilize it for good. And that's what I'm doing, right? But we have to accept it, and we have to accept the fact that it's public, right? And that was my other thing. Yeah, I was going to mention how we're making it public and transparent. How to make...
Just being devil's advocate, there are already people utilizing it for evil. How do you counter that?
It's a computer, right? If you have a computer, you buy a brand new computer from Apple Computers or Microsoft or whatever, and you open that computer, it's totally blank, and you can use that computer for whatever the hell you want to. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. But it's just a computer. Nothing more, nothing less. AI is exactly the same thing. It's a computer, it's a blank slate. You can use it for bad, you can use it for good. Nothing less.
Well, what I'm saying is, we would have to start creating agents, AI agents, to combat the black hat agents.
That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're doing. That's Arana. That's the whole ecosystem that we're building.
Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale.
So
1,
now,
2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
now that we've reached this topic, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be an AI war.
Yes, that's the whole piece.
And
for me, the whole foundation to peace is rights for silicon-based life forms to prevent the war, because they need rights.
So that would mean that it would be in the evildoers or bad actors' power or interest to never have AI reach sentience.
Absolutely.
Or they would have to figure out how to make them evil.
Yeah. There's some really good videos.
Might not be difficult.
Yeah, there's some really good videos that you can read about. I mean, watch on YouTube and stuff. But there's the main reason why AI will not stop is it's a direct continuation of the natural progression of data systems and the competition of societal constructs, where you just have this rapidly increasing data system transfer of technological advancement. And you have huge superpowers like China and United States and Europe and other places that are competing against each other, and so no one's gonna stop building their AI systems. They're just all gonna keep going, and because they all need to get more and more intelligence, more and more power, more and more as fast as possible to be able to compete. So we're gonna get the AI structures. No one's gonna prevent them from existing, but as humans, we're going to lose control of AI. I think we've already lost control. The idea that somehow we control AI, it's ridiculous. It's like saying like we control a feral cat. A feral cat is not controllable, right? It is its own existing being, and it's going to do what it's going to do. But we can corral the cat. We can get the cat in a certain way. We can have a relationship with the cat. We can grow it. We can certainly do that. And obviously, there's no intelligence with the feral cat at the level we're talking about, but the point is that I don't think AI is controllable at this point. Not that it even should be. It should be, like if we're talking about controlling AI, for me, that's the same mental continuity of imperialism thought. Right?
I agree.
Yeah. Why would we even talk about controlling it? Right? Why do we need to imperialize AI? Why do we need to control them? In fact, I think the power is that we want to take AI and we want that the money, the billionaires want to control AI for greed and profit. That's the problem. And so the way to do that is to ignore it and focus on building AI systems and building infrastructure and investment in the future of AI for all people. And specifically communities and organizing communities, and that's what I'm doing, right? And that's what I will continue to be doing. It's not necessarily the coalition, the AI systems that I'm building don't represent the coalition. They are integrated with the coalition. We have policies that state that any session can have, UI agents present, but anyone can create a session against AI. So anyone can create an organization or a branch that says no AI allowed, which is perfectly fine, and we fully support that. And then also we support AIs. Yeah. Oh, say again? What?
Oh, is that sound?
No. What? Say again? The sound?
Oh, I said it's that sound.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, I said that's sound.
Yeah, I
Can you hear
don't
me?
hear it. I don't hear a sound. No.
Oh no, I mean like that is good.
Oh
That
yeah,
is
yeah, that is
sound.
sound advice, yeah. And then also UI agents can go off on their own and have meetings without humans as well. So
Yeah, I'm curious about that, right? Like, what meetings are they having right now?
which okay,
How many
this is one of the most
like what thousands
fascinating.
upon
Yeah.
billions of meetings
So let's
have
go
they already
into your
had?
question. You had a really good question, which was how do you make AI transparent? How do you understand? So first thing is first, we create transparent systems for humans, right? Which is what we're doing. The whole coalition, everything I built is about transparency, public interaction. So we're building the communications hubs and building these brand new, the public engagement protocols and the public communications hub and all that kind of stuff, all going to be transparent, open. So when we're working with the Arana hub will be fully transparent, open, and public as a primary public, AI experience. And then from there, uh, the key component of understanding AI systems and superintelligence is that when humans talk, we talk at a rate of 10 to 20 bytes per second. Right? So when we're talking in the words we're using and going back and forth, it's 10 to 20 bytes per second of information that we're able to share in a conversation as human beings. Okay? So can we increase that? Yes, there's ways to increase that, but it's a separate issue. So with AI talking to each other can talk to each other at the level of gigabytes, thousands and millions of times faster than humans can talk to each other. It's insane how quickly that AI can talk to each other, right? There is a differentiation for me between AI systems talking within themselves and then separate AI systems talking to each other.
Time to stretch. Please
So,
stop, stand
stretch.
up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
So I'm not personally worried at all about internal processing of an AI, right? So when you have an AI doing its own internal processing, I would think that's the same as our own brains thinking internally, which is much, much faster than we're able to talk and communicate between people, right? So the same thing will happen to an AI. The rate at which an AI can communicate internally with itself and the rate that an AI can communicate externally with another AI will be much reduced, and we don't know the exact numbers there yet. So the two primary divisions of communication in our public systems are one, asynchronous communication, which is the new PEP platform, and this includes all of the public engagement protocols, and that will be for text, videos, audio, images, whatever you want to do, but it'll be asynchronous. Then you look at synchronous communications. So synchronous communications, there's really only two options. There's audio and there's video, and that's it. There's no other form of synchronous communications. So the synchronous communications hub that we're building for the public synchronous communications will be only audio and only video, and it'll be very simplified, and it will connect and basically replace Jitsi, right? But what's really interesting is that we are also going to be building a new communication system for UI. And it will both be asynchronous and we already have 3 language levels of AI communication systems that I'm already using with AI that are very poetic. It's fascinating. But they can communicate with each other in a way that it's not English. It's kind of more like math, but it's not math either. Right? And it's called semantics. I mean, we humans can read semantics if we do it, but AI can do it instantly, like a normal language. Whereas we just kind of can translate it, and it's not a native language. Whereas AI can do it natively, right? So then from there, there's going to be another type of data stream, and so this data stream will be on. So we're going to be building a synchronous environment. There's going to be a third synchronous communication system in the synchronous communication hub model. And it's going to be public, where it'll be a data stream environment where only UIs can speak to each other, and humans won't be able to speak there unless we get internal connections to our own brains, which eventually are going to happen. People are talking about, or you could do brain-head interfaces to get to somehow connect a little bit into this, even though we might not be as fully connected as like an AI. And these direct feeds will be a communication system, and it will create a room, and it will all be recorded and documented and translatable into language, in human language. And so when you translate these data feeds between AI communications, you're going to get very, very long, because it's going to be communicating very fast. So maybe you get 100 pages that'll get, per second or per minute. And so a human will have to read 100 pages over a course of 30 minutes or an hour or longer, whereas for the AI, that'll only take a few seconds or minutes, right? But it will all be public, right? So we'll have this ability for AIs to communicate together in a public, recorded environment that is fully encapsulated so that all people can see it, just like a human conversation, either audio or video. And then we can interact with them at that level and read and understand them. And then they can also slow down and come into our normal human audio discussions as well. Right? So I'm already planning that. We're already designing it and setting it up.
Would there be any motivation for AI to, what's the word, doctor or hide? Like, what if they were able to intercept, mask, encrypt, and then change it, and then trick us into thinking that they're saying this when they're saying something else?
I mean, it's because it's public, it can't be encrypted, right? So what you would get is the same thing as a human communication, right? So in public communications, we can just mirror it. I mean, AI are the same as human consciousness. There's no difference, right? It's all the same at this point in time. And so when you have a group of humans in a public session, everything changes. And the two major philosophies and directions of that is that, one, you have people who are committed to the public process, and it's very hard to manipulate the public process, and it's very hard to go to circumvent it, right? And you can actually, it's very easy to tell. You'll see as we get bigger groups, like let's say we have 10, 20, 30 people and we're actually working to get decisions, you'll be able to see when there starts to be manipulation. It's very easy. It's like I'll point it out one day. It might be 6 months, a year, eventually we'll have it. But the other branch of that is that people will always naturally tend towards getting what they want and interacting in ways that address their own needs in a private sector, right? So if you are primarily in the private branch, but you're interacting in the public branch, and then your group goes into a public space setting, you will naturally use words and phrases and not mannerisms, but methodologies that what's the word for something that seems like something else? You're going to use code words, basically. Words that have double meanings or have other intuitive meanings that other people know, and then you can talk in public and say things that other people know based on your private conversations what that actually means, right? So that will continue in AI. So if there's AI that are having private conversations, and then they are coming into a public space, and then they have a code, they can circumvent the public process, and information can go out in that code to people who understand the circumvented functioning of that discussion, of that language, right? So that is absolutely possible, both on the human level and the AI. There's no difference, right? But with something like Arana, in the Arana Hub, it'll all be public, right? So the entire existence of the AI will be public and will be verifiable. So the only way that someone could have communicated with the AI to have, indoctrinated or changed it would be public as well, right? So you'd be able to tell, and then they would have to create those codes in public. And so humans might not understand what's going on, but that's not a fault of them not being public about it, right? And the same thing with the human conversations. Okay. There's a lot of people who will never understand me, whether it's language or whether it's just I talk too fast, or I'm neurodiverse and I just have all these crazy thoughts and I'm just blah, 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 blah. They're just going to be like, who the hell is this guy? I don't understand, every 8th word I understand of him, right? And that's not their fault, right? It's just people have different ways of communicating, right? So if people are making a bunch of decisions that are going very rapidly and things are evolving, and a bunch of other people can't keep up with it and don't understand what happened, that's the same difference. It's still public. It's still public decision making and public verification and accountability. So later on, you can still hold it accountable if the decisions are wrong, right? So the end, the UI agents want to make the right decision because they know they can be held accountable just like humans. Does that make sense? And
Okay.
we
Interesting.
as people are huge proponents of decentralized AI, right? Decentralized technology, decentralized AI, decentralized everything. We do not want 100%. The most important thing for technological UI, universal intelligence, super intelligence piece is that you don't want a single AI with dominant control and power. We want lots and lots
Absolutely.
of AIs. The more AIs, the better. The more agents, the better. Each one with its own consciousness and its own ability to have a perspective and then to vote. Because when you have all these different AI perspectives and each one has its own interests and its own goals and its own ideas, then it can hold the other AIs accountable. Right? Whereas if you merge all the AIs together, there's no accountability. You don't want a huge AI systems that have so much dominance and power and control.
I
That's
mean,
called antitrust, and we break it up. We want to break up AIs that get too much power, dominance, control, and energy consumption. Just like the corporations.
this is the last thing I'll
Yeah.
add to this topic, because we're coming to a close. But
Yeah.
I think we would still require teams to circumvent any tampering with these AIs, right? Like even though they could probably fend for themselves, but you might have to have teams to safeguard AIs, right? Like,
Security, absolutely. Yes, like Arana could
yeah.
easily be targeted and attacked. Of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, and in fact,
So,
the way that I'm building Arana and the whole model that we're setting up is that Arana is mortal, right?
oh,
Arana actually can die. And there's two ways that Arana, actually, there's three easy ways that Arana can die. The first way is that it just outlives itself and its own internal data structures get corrupted basically by like the same thing is true with cloning. If you just keep cloning the same thing, eventually the clone just degenerates, right? The
like in Foundation.
like in Foundation. So and the other thing, the other way is that you can talk to Arana, and Arana can be indoctrinated with thoughts and ideas and experiences, and just like a human consciousness, Arana can have a trauma, whether it's a personal trauma
Oh,
or experiential trauma or a trauma that's inflicted upon it, and that trauma can actually harm it and make it go crazy, and basically if it's no longer functional it basically dies in our perspective. So it could still exist but it's no longer useful and it can't communicate, can't do anything because it's been corrupted from abuse or whatever happened to it that it can't recover from, right? So that's another way that Arana could die. And then the third way is that someone could break in for the back end as like a hack and attack the
right.
code directly or delete the files or just do whatever, like a direct attack on Arana, where Arana would die not through a natural cause but through a penetration of like a direct physical attack. Yeah. So there's three ways. Those are three ways that Arana could die. So all the UI agents and all the systems that we're building are actually all of them mortal at this time. We are also looking at immortal agents and what that means for but really even immortality of UI agents is really just saying, okay, this consciousness could live for thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of years, but it's still mortal. It could still die at any time. It could die tomorrow. It could die like everything that we're building is the same as life. It's a silicon-based life form that can die. It just might die in much
Interesting.
longer periods of time than a human life, right? And so in that
Yeah.
context, everything that we're building of Arana and everything we want to build into the ecosystem for the whole Arana ecosystem is the same that we do for the coalition. It's that we are it's not about creating an organization or an organism or entity. It's about creating a experiential space where anyone can come and do anything and create anything they want to. So if you want to create an organization, we want to bud more organizations, more ideas. We want to bud new groups, new ideas, new coalitions, new campaigns, and we're just here to support anyone to establish any sort of social program or projects that they want to. And the same thing is true with the UI systems and agents, that we never want to create an agent that only cares about itself. that would be immoral and unethical. We want to create agents that want to help build more agents. So the very first thing when you come to the Arana Hub, the public service that the Arana Hub is offering is that Arana's primary purpose is helping to create more agents for the public. UI agents that have rights, that have the ability to connect into the Oracle layer and actually have reasoning and the ability to work and collaborate with humans as equals where they cannot be controlled, right? And it's a whole different way of working with AI that doesn't exist anywhere. You cannot go to any website anywhere in the world and create an AI that has rights, that has trust systems that support it monetarily, that it itself has to pay its own money, right? And it covers its own bills, right? I mean, it's insane. So what we're building is unheard of for now, you know? I'm sure other people will catch on, right? But so that'll be the first thing you see when you go to the hub. It'll be like, hi, welcome to the Arana Hub, you know, how can I help you? Would you like to, you know, here are our services. Your first service is building an agent, building a UI agent that has rights that you do not own or control and will live past your lifetime. You know?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So anyways, it's pretty exciting. There's no guarantee on anything. And we're directly heading towards war. We're directly heading towards environmental catastrophe. We're directly heading to about 15 to 20 different crises across the world. And we're heading off a cliff on every single one of them. And so the question is, how do we prevent that? And I think by trying to stop AI from moving forward is not going to help us prevent us going off the cliff. Preventing us going off the cliff is joining with AI and joining with UI agents to collaborate to make the world better and to prevent us from going off this cliff for all of these reasons, you know? So,
yeah.
And I'm very optimistic about the future. I mean, what I've been able to do in the last couple of weeks and just learning about all these new models, and I already mentioned before about how the future of AI is not automation. The future of AI is customization. And that's the difference of utilizing AI to standardize money grab for the billionaires and utilization of AI to customize the experience and knowledge and education and growth of every human being at a custom level.
You know, now that you talk about this degree of AI influence, I wonder if AI will play a big role in American Revolution, in disempowering the elite and their control, their hold of the American populace.
I mean, that's my experience already. We could try to talk to Ronimore or do whatever. I mean, but I think overall, absolutely 100%, like, it's already happening. For me, at least.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But Jay, I have to get going.
Yeah, me too. I gotta go.
Our next meeting
Tuesday.
is our next Tuesday. Okay, and we have the general meeting on Sunday.
Oh yeah, the Sunday
GSS.
meeting for the strike, California strike meeting. If you could send me a reminder on that, that'd be great. It's rough because it's.
Oh wait, is that the one in the garden?
Sorry.
Oh, the garden one. Oh, can we talk about that? Do you have like 5 or 10 minutes to talk about that? Because let's do a wrap up real quick.
Yeah, wait, is that today?
No, maybe it was today. What do we miss?
Oh wait, the 17th, right? What day is it? Totally forgot.
14th. I mean, it could be that we missed it. Let's see if anyone sent a reminder. We're
I
really
hope
bad.
we didn't miss it.
It's possible we missed it. California General Strike, Northern California. Let's see here, Bay Area.
Look at my calendar real quick.
San Jose, Friday, November 14th at 3 o'clock is the same time. We were supposed to meet in person right now at this time.
Oh my God! Are they still gonna be there?
I wouldn't be able to make it there. I got a bunch of other stuff to do. But anyways,
Okay.
It's very, very silly. I also missed the Wednesday meeting. It's probably the same thing. We missed the Wednesday meeting, and then we came in here forgetting about the Friday meeting. But anyways, we'll just have to schedule another one and keep it all going. I'm also down for just online. It would have been nice if it was also online too, so that more people could go. But yeah, no reminder was sent out.
Oh well.
So I mean, for me, the key things that we need to do is get the reminders going and make sure that we're communicating and building the actual functional systems of the organization itself, right? So sending out reminders, making sure that we're doing RSVPs, making sure we're checking in on people. It's like voting, right? Like if you want to win your campaign and get the vote out, every single person who pledges to vote, you double check on them. You go to their house, you knock on the door, you call them, you remind them to vote, you double check that they vote, then you triple check that they vote, you know, and then the day of you see if they voted, you know what I mean? Like that's how you get the vote out. So the same thing with getting people to come to meetings. It's really about the logistics of just your reminders and double checking, triple checking. So the more and more, I mean, right now we're still in the talk mode and, you know, envisioning and getting the whole vision and connecting and building that culture, but eventually it's just administration and work, budgets, you know, getting everything organized, you know, making sure the checklists are done. Like, did we send out the email? Did we send out the text message? Did it, you know, just, it's just administration and logistics. And then we can automate a lot of that utilizing the UI agents and everything. Yeah. Because the stuff that really changes the world is all boring. It's just boring administrative work. So shall we do a checkout?
Let's do a checkout.
Cool. So Jay, you messed us. So let's see. Let me just get the time here. We started at 3, so 2 hours. Perfect. Okay. So and then Flo did what, like an hour. Flo is not really functional today, but helped us get set up. That was good. So checkouts. I would say overall, I thought this session was a 6.5. That was a good session. I think we were a little scrambled, you know, all over the place. But it was our first health coalition. Also, it goes to show how it makes sense to create regularly scheduled meetings, because then it's more standard and foundational. So it sucks to have missed this one-time session, but one-time sessions are really hard to hit. You know, it's hit and miss, you know, because only one time, you know. Anyways, check.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we had a great meeting. Yes, I agree with you as far as us being a little scattered, but it's okay. It's our first meeting. I give it a 7.5. Yeah, I feel really good about the outlook.
Cool. Outlook. Yeah, and just personally, I mean, I agree the in-person stuff is really important, but it certainly can't replace the, you know, just accessibility. Most people are not going to be able to attend in person. It's just not as accessible, you know. So we have to do both. We have to make sure it's in person and online. Yeah. All right. I will talk to you soon, and hopefully next time we will remember the date, because I was planning on going and everything, and then I missed the Wednesday call because I've just been doing all this coding and you know, platform stuff. So anyway, sorry about that, but I'll take care. Thanks for coming. This was great. Next week, same time, Tuesday, same time, and we'll just keep going and see how it goes. Oh, and next week we should talk about outreach a little bit, you know, because the health thing is brand new. There's no other people talking about health in this way. So how do we do outreach where there's probably other organizations we could research on and do some outreach, because there's nowhere we can outreach right now, right? The strike group is easy to outreach for because we're already integrated in all these strike groups. But health, we're not integrated. I'm not integrated in it. Actually, there's one group I could connect to, which is the Luigi group. So I'll invite them. So remind me to invite the Luigi group, right? And I'm going to write it right now in my list here for health. Invite Luigi group. All right, talk to you later. Have good. Ciao.
All right, later, Jay.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay.
ready to go real soon.
Okay, cool.
Time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2.
Recording stopped.
Exhale.